All right, so one person who is not piling on Bill Cosby, longtime supporter of Bill Cosby, Whoopi Goldberg.
Today on The View, Goldberg stopped short of defending Cosby, but basically said she was still unconvinced of his guilt.
I'm sorry, the 80s were... They sound like fun. They sound like they were... Well, they weren't fun for everybody, right. Clearly. But, you know, I think it's, again, we'll see what happens. You know, as more information comes out, people can make judgments. I don't like snap judgments because I've had snap judgments made on me. So I'm very, very careful. And, you know, save your texts, save your nasty comments. I don't care.
Save him, folks.
Save it. Whoopi don't care. Heidi Hamilton of Dish Nation and the Heidi and Frank Show on KLOS Radio is here to talk about Cosby, Whoopi, and everything else.
The thing is, I watched that clip too this morning, and she's like, well, you know, the 80s, not good for everybody. Yeah, not good for those women that were drugged by Bill Cosby.
I mean,
yeah, but for her,
what, everybody was raping in the 80s?
No, she's insinuating that people were taking drugs and people were having fun. Isn't that what she's insinuating?
But it's one thing to take the Quaaludes, like, go, yeah, give me a couple of those.
Taking Quaaludes at a party is different than drugging someone to have sex.
That was her. She was good. What I loved about...
Folks, please don't tweet me.
Bobby's okay.
The 80s were different for you than me.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, Lauren and I were like... just out of kindergarten.
I was just barely, born.
No, but what was so funny about watching the View clip is, you know, Whoopi's kind of going, look, I did Quaaludes, okay, and you're like, well, okay, that's one thing to do them, but to not know that to be like, is this for me? Is this drink for me? Well, I feel sleepy. Right. You know, it's one thing to take them knowing you're taking them, and then Candace Cameron Bure was like, what are Quaaludes? I don't even know what Quaaludes are.
Right?
You know, Bobby had to look up a pronunciation. He's like, is it Quaaludes?
Well, because I've heard people all day long pronounce it in several different ways.
You know how hard I tried to get him to
know, Hugh Hefner just called them thigh openers. That's what, when that whole story about that Playmate that was coming out and talking about, you know, back in the day what he would do, and he used to call Quaaludes thigh openers because they do exactly that. You're like, you're doing things that you wouldn't normally do if you weren't on them, I guess.
Is it Rufinol now? Or
I guess it's sort of probably like a Valium or like a Xanax where you're just like, whatever.
I found it most interesting in that interview or that talk is that Raven Simone, who was on the Cosby Show, actually said that her mind was changed after all of this.
How could it not be?
It's interesting to be someone who's on the Cosby Show, whose life was made by Bill Cosby.
And she admits that, and that's why she didn't come out right away and say it. It was like, look, I don't want to talk about Bill Cosby. That was her TV dad for a lot of years. Made her who she is, so she didn't want to comment on it. But once you find out that, you know, back in 2005, he was like, yeah, I bought like 7 prescriptions of Quaaludes, and I gave them to one girl. Really, just the one?
With the intent to have sex. I mean, he was clear about that in that deposition.
Right.
So,
and Whoopi Goldberg's still going, I don't know.
To just be like, hey, it was the 80s. We were just all having fun. I mean, at the end of the day, we're still talking about rape, which...
Exactly. And I told Frank this morning on the Heidi and Frank Show, you know, we were talking about it, and I said, no matter how... I mean, I've known him for 15 years, and no matter how much or how close you think you are to somebody, if this came out, I'd be like, no, I'm not supporting you at this point. If at some point you're like, all right, I don't know for sure if it happened. I'm not going to go, no, I'm not going to pass judgment, because Whoopi Goldberg's got daughters, she's got granddaughters, so if this happened to them, would you be like, well, I don't know unless there's proof? It's like,
let's wait for a videotape.
Which is probably never going to surface.
Right.
Yeah. Lots of people basically coming out now criticizing Bill Cosby. Jill Scott tweeted that, you know, she originally supported him.
She was a big supporter too, yeah.
And now she says she changed her mind. She added, we live in America. Many African-American men are detained and or imprisoned for crimes without evidence. I will never jump on bandwagons based on social media or hearsay. Proof will always matter more than public opinion. The sworn testimony is proof completely disgusting.
I agree, but what stinks about this is that there is a statute of limitations. So he admitted that back in 2005 when the statute of limitations was already over, which is like, that should never be. It's like, we should always still be able to investigate that.
So there finally is, though, evidence, because that's what everyone was holding out for, because he was beloved. We all know he was, you know,
Mr.
Dr. Huxtable, he was beloved.
Right.
But the thing about it is now, the arrogance he had before this evidence came out, that these are all lying women who are looking to get something out of 40.
And I love it too, because these women that are coming forward going, look, I don't want any money. That's not about this. I'm not looking for any of that. I just want you to know what happened. And so there's got to be something said for that. It's like, I'm not trying to make any money from this. I just...
And now he's quiet. We want to get to this because this is an interesting story. Tom Selleck.
This is fascinating.
Accused of...
Look at those shorts. They're very similar to mine.
That's the 80s that I remember.
He's accused of sending a water truck to steal water from a fire hydrant. This happened in Ventura County. He has this big property.
He has like 60 acres up there, and he's got a lot of love. I know you can't stop looking at the shorts.
Hose someone down in here.
My.
Hose him down in here.
I'm okay, actually. It's not affecting me like it may be affecting this one.
I can't concentrate. Yeah, so he was backing up a water truck and stealing gallons and gallons of water, and they even sued him?
They're like, yeah, and they had to have a private investigator.
A PI?
A PI, if you will. Yeah. Look at you. Look at you.
Unbelievable.
They spent thousands of dollars to try and figure out who was stealing his water.
Yeah, 21 grand to try to figure out. And he's got 60 acres up in Ventura, and they said that when you go by his property, there's a lot of lush stuff, but there's also a lot of brown stuff. But in 2015, there are people called drought shamers. Like, you go by somebody's property and they're washing their car out front, and it's like they take pictures and they post it online because you're supposed to, you know, listen, I'm doing my part. I shower with somebody, so I'm doing my part to save water. I have
an unnamed person?
We'll keep the person's name. Just to protect the innocent.
My car is an absolute disgusting,
so you're doing
dust-covered.
You're doing your part.
I'm not watching that thing till the EPA comes after me. But having said that, you're Tom Selleck. You can afford water. I mean, this was back in 2013, even before we were really into the
that's a
drought.
lot.
It's a lot.
But they don't have 60 acres, by the way. If you can't afford your own water and you're stealing it from the city.
Especially now we've got like celebrity drought seamers, right? There's like helicopters flying over these giant properties, and I'm like, are you doing your part?
Yeah, look how lush the property is. They must be using too much water.
Tom.
I know. Poor Tom Selleck. He'll be fine. I think he'll be fine.
Maybe he should share showers with somebody.
Can't stop thinking about those shorts, and I don't even know why. I don't know why.
I forgot how great the 80s were until seeing that clip.
You almost see that.
Everything. We don't even need water.
No.
You know what I mean?
PI. What does that stand for anyway?
Listen, I think we have to go to break. I don't know.
You know when to find her. Heidi and Frank Show on KLOS Radio. Heidi, always enlightening.
More of this in the morning.
Yeah.
Don't you love it?
Thank you.
Thanks, Heidi.